For those who have forgotten, my name is Michael Kimathi, and I work with Africa Stocking as head of developer community. And that's my Twitter handle in case you want to follow me. Yeah. Also, if you're on LinkedIn, you can search Michael Kimathi and send a request, and we can connect. All the social media, you'll find me as Michael Kimathi or M_K_global. Now, today's session is very interesting. I don't wanna bore you with a lot of details because you are out of time. But I wanna talk a bit about Africa Stocking. So Africa Stocking is powering communication solutions across Africa and empowering developers across Africa. So we provide TPaaS and CPaaS, that is telecommunication platform as a service, and communication platform as a service through APIs that are accessible by developers to build solutions and integrate with other existing APIs from other providers. That said, we are in 23 plus markets, but our solutions works in 54 countries and beyond across the world. So you can build at scale. The solution that will work in Uganda most probably will work in other 53 countries in Africa, and you can actually build for the world. So we provide SMS, USSD, airtime, data, and voice and SIM swap. I'm sure for the last 3 days you have heard about this more than enough. There's nothing much to add unless someone had a question I could add. So our hackathon is focusing on deployment, which is infrastructure. So if you build a solution, you need it to be accessible everywhere in real time without any delays and without any lag. Today's hackathon is not that complex because if you guys have presented in previous hackathons, then it means you have deployed in one way or the other. So today I'll invite one of our infrastructure engineer to share some of the nuggets that you need to look at, things like security, things like scale, things like resources you need to deploy efficiently, so that by the end of the day, you have something that is robust enough to present to the world. Thank you so much. Yes, you can give that phone to me. Yeah, so our program, as usual, uses KISS principle, keeping it simple and stupid. And then, of course, you guys are here, lunch is almost here, so we have done most of it. So we continue building on the other side. And of course, in the evening, we'll see each other, and we'll see who did good job. And of course, we'll present the token of appreciation to enable you to appreciate your work. But that doesn't mean you cannot make much more if you pursue what you built in these 4 days. So I want to stop there and invite Samuel Mwangi, to take you through what infra entails, as well as managing resources. So Samuel Mwangi, if you're ready, give it up for Samuel Mwangi as he comes on stage.
Hi guys, I hope you can hear me. My name is Samuel Mwangi, in the infra department. Myself and another lady called Cindy. I think you've seen her, she's been one of the judges. And basically and I know all of you guys have already built your applications. For some of you have already started deploying it, and that's how you're able to demo it, right? So this basically a quick and dirty overview. A quick overview of what to look out. I know some of if and by show of hands, have you ever had a scenario where you've built something, you pushed it, it's not working yet? Either yourself or your colleague is saying, but it works on my machine, and if you've been that boat. You're very good devs. You don't face issues. So what basically this basically talk helps you to do is to avoid a scenario where either one, having a scenario where it works on my machine, but you push it to prod, it doesn't work. From the talks, I saw some of you already using platforms like, I saw there's some people who are using Heroku. I saw there's some who are using, I think I saw Vercel somewhere, right? And if you're already using those, you already have your own CI/CD pipeline and a pipeline that actually works, that's abstracted from you, and you don't need to worry about it. If you are not on that boat, you might probably be SSHing into a server. And by show of hands, is anyone SSHing to a server and copying the code? There's nothing wrong with that, actually. It's extremely perfect, quote unquote. One of the things you need to be like at scale, and this probably not for this talk, at scale, all of the things to look out for, and I can see you guys already like I've got this figured out, is being able to know, are you able to test? Are you able to make sure that you're not shipping code that has bugs? That's number one. Number two, how quickly are you able to replicate your setup? For some of us, especially when you're starting up, you have a God server that you protect with all your life, because you know if it goes down, how long are you able to how long are you able to like rebuild another server with the exact same version of libraries that you had set up, some of which you might not be sure of. So being able to deploy reliably, being able to recover from errors. If that server fails, how are you able to? And there are tools that are probably beyond the scope of this talk. We had intended to submit a talk, which we probably do next time, or on how to ship efficiently, on how to ship reliably, and then finally being able to like isolate your app. Basically, what are the secrets, or what are the passwords that you're using, testing locally, testing in CI and in prod, and how you're able to mirror the three. But in the interest of time, just wanted to take a few questions. I think it's easier that way. If anyone has questions, then I let you guys go back and build your code.
Give it up for Sam Mwangi. Thank you so much. Yeah, so if there are no questions, I think it's better we leave you to it. Although there are questions, but yes, no one raised up their hand. You're still writing. Yeah, can we have the other mic, please?
Mm-hmm. Yes, good morning. I'm Jeremiah, and thank you for sharing that. I have a question. I've been trying to implement Africa is Talking API, like that's USSD and SMS. But then over times, when I want to test, I need to tunnel my server through ngrok. So, you know, like every time you refresh or every time there's no internet, ngrok breaks. You need to restart again with a new code, updating all those callbacks. So how can I be like, which platform can I use so that I'm able to get like one working code that I don't need to over update like all the time to have my system working?
What language have you built it on? PHP. You can check. So you have a few options. I think ngrok gives you one free permanent URL, like a host name that can be pointed to you. There are others. I think that there's one called Expose by Beyond Code. Cloudflare also has Cloudflare tunnels. Cloudflare has Cloudflare tunnels. So there are many that you can be able to use. And I understand that frustration, because when you update the code, then you have to wait some. No, You update you need to restart the tunnel, update the callback URL, and then wait some 5 minutes. Caching is hand, my friend. Caching is hand. So when you send a request to api.africastalking, depending on the endpoint that you've hit, it's going to be routed to a service. That service work is only, its main role is just basically to authenticate your request, add it to a Redis queue, bill, and respond. Then that request now gets picked up by other services that we can be able to scale depending on the amount of traffic. Then that request now gets all the way to the final service that sends you the callback. So it is a microservice in that sense. However, it is not your traditional microservice where each service is like super optimized to a single function, because the challenge with microservices is each of those services connecting to the other service is a HTTP call, which adds a bit of milliseconds. At a scale of 1 billion messages per day, those milliseconds add up very quickly.
Would you approach the concept of staging in development and how you'd go about it? Like,
make sure that the application itself doesn't have bugs, doesn't have show-stopping bugs, and it's able to build. It builds a Docker image and then pushes it to our registry. Once it's so that's going to push. If a release is tagged, we use Flax CD. It picks up that tag, creates a deployment in a replica Kubernetes cluster. Then we also so say for example, if it's a web service that has been tagged, it's going to now create a deployment for it. Then we have what we call mock services. So it's going to mock sending a request like a client would. It's going to send many requests. Expect that your message gets delivered, or if it's a USSD session, we are able to, but like the full scale. So it's basically mocking how our client will send us a request. Then finally, we use K6 by Grafana to basically load test so that we don't have a scenario where we are experiencing memory leaks or you're timing out. Again, it's not a perfect setup. Once in a while, we'll have something that skips that. The good thing is, because it's majority of these things are things that we built, we then go back and optimize them. The only thing that I can say is, again, it's not a perfect setup. The only thing I can guarantee you that it helps us to be as stable as we currently are, and like guarantee efficient uptime. But it's basically a mixture of Bitbucket pipelines, a custom like staging environment that is like a replica of what we have in prod, with an addition of mock services that mock HTTP requests that a client would send us.
let's say you assumed that maybe you would have 1 million requests maybe per minute on staging. Then when you go into production, it's something 2 times, 3 times that. How would you approach that?
So we have a few things to be able to mitigate that. First of all, the deployments are on a HPA. That's a horizontal pod autoscaler. So say something happens and we are using more resources than necessary. It is more prudent it's easier for us to scale up. The only thing that we do is, if the number of pods, we call them, the number of pods exceed a certain, to track back. If the staging tests fail, it's going to alert us on Slack. So you have Slack channels, it's going to alert us on Slack. If it then proceeds and gets deployed, it's going to alert us this deployment has been pushed. If that deployment doesn't meet a set of, if say for example, it's just growing and growing, 10, 20, 30 pods, growing exponentially, it's also going to alert us on Slack. So we have like those levels of being able to recover from an issue. The most important thing, even if it gets deployed, your message has to be, your message or your SST session or your call has to be delivered no matter what, basically.
All right, thank you so much. So predominantly a front-end engineer, and I do a bit of back-end now. One problem I've found, especially in the DevOps space, is there doesn't seem to be, unlike front-end and back-end, there doesn't seem to be a clear path in terms of how deployments are done and all that. I think what kind of advice will you give people who are not necessarily DevOps people in terms of deployments of various projects and all? Because oftentimes you build something, you reach a point you really need to deploy it, but then configuring the servers and all that really starts taking a toll on you. So what kind of step-by-step process will you give advice? And also there are so many cloud providers. You have, whether you have Azure, you have AWS, you have GCP and all that. Like, how do you usually approach it in terms of seeing where you actually do your hosting?
So we usually have a golden rule, and I think for most DevOps engineers, your server is a tool, basically, and you should be able to delete the server and come back online. And how long it takes you to be able to come back online is your technical debt. So DevOps is like a journey; it's not a destination. You start as a software dev, and that's the dev bits, and then master now the ops bits, and now that's where like DevOps. So again, it is more of like philosophy, not like not a straight line, basically. It is do what makes more sense for you. There's a very huge risk to be able to over-engineer, right? You are this particular, there's a very high chance right now you're not operating at the scale of Google or at the scale of Amazon, and you don't need to. So being able to like even build your, say, Node.js application, bundle up with your NPM packages, build, generate your JS bundle, and being able to push, even if you're going to use SSH, it's mostly important. Like the key points is how fast are you able to ship your code, how efficiently are you able to ship your code, and in the event you lose like the server you're connecting to, or how quickly are you able to replicate? Like I think that's the word I'm looking for. Are you able to replicate your setup in seconds? If it's not, then like you go back and iterate and iterate. Yeah.
The cost of the servers and the cloud. What advice would you give someone who's starting out and wants to deploy their project? How can they manage the costs, and how can they get a service that is low cost? The second question is about, I think, CI/CD and version control. When you go to Africa stocking, we don't see the version that we are using at some point. I think we see like version 1, like for the past so many years. So is it important to really put your version out there, and how do you control versions in deployment? Yeah.
So in terms of costs, there is no free lunch, right? There's no free lunch. So you either pay someone else to do it for you, or you pay with your time, right? So it's how much you value the amount of time. If you value 1 hour at $10 and you're spending 10 hours every month, you're basically paying $100 for your CI. The alternative is you pay someone else that $100 to do it for you. It's a balance. Providers depends on how you build it. If you're using Ruby on Rails, there's Railway. JavaScript ecosystem is like the best. It has like 1,000 providers: Vercel, Cloudflare, Fastify, Heroku, I think, as well. And for all these providers, you're basically paying them to offload your need to be able to do that bit yourself. That work will still need to be done somehow, and it's a cost that you'll pay. It's just a question of, are you paying actual cash or are you paying with your time? In terms of 80s version, it's mostly because and I'm not sure whether anyone has ever watched, there's a talk our group CEO, Sam Gikandi, did, rewriting the entire API from, initially it was written in PHP, it was rewritten again to Scala, but the end user, the payload you send to us and the response you get from us has not changed much, and hence we've been like, the API is version, so there's the version for the API, then there's version for the application behind it. The API version, I think there's a version 2 coming up, but in terms of version 1, the API spec has been the same.